Thank you, Simon, for that warm welcome and introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm delighted to join you all today to kick off the League of American Orchestra's 78th National Conference, hosted by the wonderful Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra. I'm grateful to Simon and the League's conference team for inviting me to share some thoughts with you today. And to everyone in attendance, thank you for all you do to advance music, culture, and creativity in your communities. Your work is critical to helping us all fulfill our potential as individuals, as a nation, and as a global community. I'm honored and proud to lead the National Endowment for the Arts. We're a small but mighty agency with what I think of as a huge and crucial mission. In my mind's eye, the mission of the endowment is tied to how well we do as a nation, how well we do as communities, and how well we do as individuals. What I know for sure is that none of the things that we say we aspire to as a country of opportunity are possible or durable without the arts and related work. The music organizations represented here today help us make sense of the world, offer us different ways of thinking, feeling, being. They're a source of inspiration and innovation. They help us protect and advance our humanity and that of our neighbors. This is a unique time. As a result of a global pandemic, we're emerging from a period where we've had to adjust our lifestyles, reimagine ways of working, and reconsider what it means to take care of each other in our communities. This also has been a time of visible and heightened inequities and injustices that demand our attention, a complicated and fractured political landscape, and many promises to do better as a society. The entire creative sector has been impacted seriously. Some concert halls have closed, performances canceled or reimagined on the virtual stage. And even now, low ticket sales and audience numbers for many are a source of concern. And as the sector recovers, it has been and continues to be a difficult time. But as I've visited communities around the country and met with arts organizations and artists, I've found that there's also evidence of strength, great flexibility, and even a sense of possibility. We're in a time that demands learning from examined experience and not just snapping back to what was pre-pandemic. The last 3 years have taught us that in some cases we don't have to do what we've always done the way we've always done it. And that what we may have thought of as orthodoxy might be just one approach among many that we should consider going forward. While there's hardship, to be sure, this is also a time of possibility as we imagine what a new version of the sector can be. This time in history requires that we understand the arts as being at the heart of our efforts to evolve, heal, and change. As I share with you the direction that I'm taking with the National Endowment for the Arts, it's important that I reference some fundamental principles that undergird my approach. First, all people have the capacity to be creative. Creativity is an individual and community asset from which to build. Communities are not blank slates. Especially in historically marginalized communities, the creativity and culture that does exist in them is sometimes overlooked or underappreciated. Orchestra leaders know, in this audience especially, know firsthand that creativity is both an individual and community asset from which we can and must build. Second, the ability for people to be expressive and tell their own stories on their own terms is a critical dimension of justice and equity. It's part of our American ethos, and orchestras have an important role to play in that. Third, arts and cultural activity happens in many kinds of places. Of course, in those places that are dedicated to the arts, like this gorgeous, gorgeous venue, but also in community centers and houses of worship, commercial venues, schools, parks, public streets. And while people participate as audience and consumers, people also engage in the arts by making, doing, teaching, learning. This is evident among the musicians that comprise the 2 youth orchestras performing here. Fourth, art process can be as important as, or even in some cases more important than art product. And that's sometimes a hard concept to grasp because we're socialized to look at the thing that we'll consume. But the act of being in a creative process, especially the collective creative process that is the everyday practice of orchestras, has value in and of itself. That process often generates agency, stewardship, social cohesion, self-discovery, curiosity about others. It contributes to the creation of new narratives and enables us to hold nuance and appreciate complexity, all often preconditions for other community goals and all the things that we aspire to as a free nation of opportunity. Fifth, artists and designers have many kinds of relationships to publics and roles within communities. In addition to the traditional ways that we think of what musicians and arts organizations do, I believe that some of the orchestras represented in this room can help us imagine and achieve communities and cities we want to see thrive. Sixth and last, music and the arts are intrinsically important, full stop. At the same time, they're important because they contribute to other community dynamics and can help address community needs and aspirations. They're inextricable from what we hold most dear. Unleashing the full power of art, including that of orchestras, requires not existing in a bubble, in isolation. The arts must be woven into the fabric of our lives, part of our daily lived experiences, and again, inextricable from what we value most. At their most powerful, the arts are at the heart of social change and part of our civic infrastructure. They're part of the arrangements, structures, and relationships that we rely on to care for each other. As I've traveled and spoken around the country, an idea that I've been advancing focuses on the importance of all people having the opportunity to live artful lives. And artful lives is an inclusive concept. It includes a wide range of experiences, including deeply meaningful practices and expressions that are part of our everyday lives, as well as the production, presentation, and experience or consumption of professional artwork. That whole spectrum is invaluable. In addition to the concept of artful lives, I've also been talking about how the next version of the sector requires more attention to animating the work at the intersection of arts and other areas such as education, community development, climate, and very importantly, health and well-being. At the Arts Endowment, we're enthusiastic about helping advance the notion of the arts at the intersection of other sectors, including partnerships with other federal agencies. And we're not starting from scratch. For example, we've been working with our federal partners at the National Institutes of Health, as well as the Kennedy Center, Renee Fleming, and the University of California, San Francisco. It's on a project called the Sound Health Network, which brings together artists, neuroscientists, music therapists, researchers, and others to better understand the many connections between music, health, and wellness. The NEA's support is helping to build the network, which can facilitate individual and collaborative efforts. We're learning and documenting how music can improve our wellness across a lifespan. As I travel around the country, I'm seeing important local efforts that signal a deeper understanding of the connection between the arts, and especially music, to health and wellness. And this is happening at the local level in many places. Just last week, I participated in a summit on arts and health in Los Angeles, organized by the LA County Department of Arts and Culture and LA Opera. It involved activations highlighting the work of large and small organizations in this realm, and sessions highlighting new findings about the impact of arts and music, especially on health. There's evidence of efforts to advance inclusivity, but still not enough. All around the country, I've heard forward-thinking cultural leaders talk about the importance of commissioning and presenting new work that represents rich diversity in our country, varied perspectives, the stories and voices of communities that haven't been heard, work that helps us navigate a complicated terrain. And sometimes this is at odds with the desire to sell out a venue and relied on tried and true crowd pleasers. There are signs of promising practices and powerful ways of situating music and what it has to offer, but certainly more are needed. We need systemic work to remove barriers, advance inclusivity, and truly unleash the healing and transformative power of the arts. Last fall, President Biden issued an all-of-government executive order recognizing the contributions of arts and humanities on the health and well-being of the nation and on the future of democracy itself. He directed all federal agencies to collaborate with the National Endowment for the Arts, the National Endowment for the Humanities, and the Institute for Museum and Library Services. And he lifted up the centrality of the arts to all of the work that the country needs. At a recent ceremony honoring National Medal of Arts recipients, President Biden called artists truth tellers, bridge builders, and change seekers. And last night at a concert at the White House in honor of our newest federal holiday, Juneteenth, a celebration of freedom and an acknowledgement of slavery in our troubled history, a deeply moved President Biden spoke about the power of music to help us heal the soul of our nation. Inspired by this sensibility and the long-held core ideas I shared earlier, the NEA is leaning into our role as a grant maker and as a national resource. We continue to be a grant-making organization, which is how we're known best. For example, we're thrilled and proud that we helped support the commission and world premiere performance tonight of composer Stacey Garrett's new composition, Forging Steel, as part of the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra's 125th anniversary celebration, and will continue to help fund important projects by orchestras and other arts organizations such as this. It's beautiful work. In addition, we're ramping up our role as a catalyst, convener, connector, offering a platform for important ideas, new ways of working that strengthen the cultural sector and unlock new opportunities for artists and arts organizations to help shape our nation, to contribute to the well-being of our citizens and help to create the environment where all people can thrive and reach their full potential. We're proud that the NEA is increasingly seen by the federal family as a key partner in our quest to advance racial equity and better outcomes for historically marginalized communities, our quest to address health of our planet, our work to stop hate-fueled violence like the senseless massacre that occurred at the Tree of Life Synagogue 5 years ago, right here. As a national resource, the NEA will access all of the assets it has at its disposal, and this includes grant money and financial resources for bolstering existing programs and special initiatives, but it also means leveraging our relationships with other federal agencies, using the pulpit and bullhorn of the executive branch, the imprimatur of the federal government, the infrastructure of state arts organizations, regional arts organizations, and local arts agencies, as well as other networks, in being strategic about our ability to convene, be a catalyst, offer thought partnership, thought leadership, do and commission research, among other functions. I'm excited about the roles that orchestras of all sizes and types can play in infusing arts into our civic infrastructure, in helping us to all see our common humanity and create the just communities we and generations to come deserve. Please know that the NEA is here to walk alongside you as we adapt, dream big together, and work outside of our traditional lanes. We can do our best work only if we have open channels of communication with you and have the benefit of your experience, perspective, and reach. And finally, I want to take a moment to offer a special recognition to the two youth orchestras, the Pittsburgh Youth Symphony Orchestra and the Three Rivers Young People's Orchestras performing here. These organizations strive to create dynamic and inclusive communities of young musicians who celebrate diversity and open themselves to new ways of thinking, being, and performing. These musicians bring a sense of excitement about classical music to audiences young and old, and they are a testament to what can happen when we invest in bolstering healthy communities. Music education is a critical component of a well-rounded education and artful life. The future looks brighter thanks to the next generation of creative musicians who are also shaping the world. So let's keep the music going in all the places where it's needed. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a fruitful convening.